So we are going to speak about how to train your Vue CLI plugin. And the first question is obvious. Why should I care? What is the profit of having this plugin? Let's imagine a very obvious case. You have your Vue application, and you want to install some complex plugin or library. Let's imagine we have a web app, and we want to convert it to desktop app with Electron. So first step is we need to install a dependency. Then we need to create an app.js with all settings. We need to import all Electron dependencies. We need to specify a URL where we're going to run our application. And of course, we need to add a listener, so when our application is ready, we need to create a browser window. And we need to create NPM scripts, because we don't want to run all of this every time manually from terminal. And more to say, we need to change webpack config, because we need to acquire our assets. It's simple, isn't it? Like 6 steps and we are ready. In fact, this process is really boring. Every time when you need to install a complex dependency, you take these steps. And it's not a development process. In fact, it's a setup process, and it's boring. And imagine if you're a library author and you know all developers using the library will take these steps. What if we can do it with one step? What if we can type Vue add Electron builder? And it will do everything for us. It will install dependencies, change webpack config. It will create new files we need. And after we do this, we can just run Electron serve command, and we are ready. We have a desktop app. It's a nice development experience. You save a lot of time if you're a developer. You save a lot of time for your developers if you're a library author. That's why we should care about CLI plugins. And with this, I can introduce myself one more time. Thanks, Ilya. So, my name is Natalia, and I'm a Google developer expert in web technologies. I'm an official Vue community partner, and this title means you can just find me on the Vue.js team page. I contribute mostly to Vue CLI and Vue official documentation. And I work as a senior front-end engineer at GitLab. So, how many of you here have used Vue CLI before? Please raise your hand. OK, it's a fair amount. I love to see so many fans of Vue. It's unexpected. For those who didn't, Vue CLI is a tool for scaffolding Vue project. And you need to install it globally and run Vue create my project, like Martin has shown in his first talk. And then you will be prompted for options you want to include to your project. And this list actually is the first place where we can meet Vue CLI plugins. Yes, all these options are plugins because Vue CLI is modular. These plugins are actually named core Vue CLI plugins. Why core? Because they are developed by core Vue.js team, and they're available on application creation. Unfortunately, right now we can't include third-party plugins here. But imagine you created an app and you forgot to add TypeScript. Then you can simply run Vue add Vue CLI plugin TypeScript, and it will be added to your application. And this step, this Vue add command, is available also for third-party plugins. Right now we have 388 plugins available. Sorry, 389, because yesterday there was one more released, and it's a really important one. It's native script Vue plugin, so you can simply convert your application to native one. Previously it was really complicated. So, of course, 389 plugins is not enough. Let's create one more, just to show you what you can do with it and what possibilities do you have. So what is Vue CLI plugin actually? It's just an NPM module. And as every NPM module, it should have a name, because we need somehow to discover it. This Vue create command seems like a pure magic where Vue add Apollo. But how it's discoverable? In fact, you need a prefix. If your plugin has a Vue CLI plugin prefix, then Vue CLI command will search on npm, find this plugin, and install it. One exception is you can have also a scope for a Vue CLI plugin. So, as every npm module, it should have a package.json. It's a minimal requirement. If you ever published something to npm, you know that if you don't have package.json, no module, no publishing. Of course, it should have some kind of documentation in README MD, and it should have a root file. It's index.js. It can't be an empty file. You need just an empty export at least for your plugin to work. So these ones are required. Also, you can have a generator which serves for creating new files and extending your package. Prompts to personalize your project, and UI for integrating your project into Vue UI. No worries, I will cover all of them in the live demo. So this part is optional, but highly recommended, especially generator. So generator. Probably it's the mostly useful part of the whole CLI plugins because it allows you to install all dependencies on plugin invocation. It changes your templates and creates new one. And it allows you to add new imports. When your plugin is installed to Vue CLI, first, obviously, is install, which is just yarn add or npm install step. Next step is plugin invocation, when your plugin is actually added to your project. And after this, we have a generator part. Right now, it's like everything is pretty abstract. Like, okay, we have some kind of generator, what does it mean? That's why we will have a demo. So, please let me know if you can read the code on the back rows. It's readable? Okay, fine. So we have some Vue CLI plugin. I won't reveal it now. So first, let's create a Vue project where we can test our plugin. And I will make a little promotion for Vue UI. Vue UI is a tool. It's a wrapper for Vue CLI. It's a graphical interface for Vue CLI where you can manage your project, where you can add plugins, install dependencies, and see like everything is working. I will make it a bit bigger. Okay, let's create some new project. Let's name it Framework Days Test. And yeah, we want Git repository as well. I will use just a basic config without some fancy parts like TypeScript. And I really hope nobody is downloading NPM modules right here, right now, because I need some internet, please. Yeah, like it always happens at conferences. Like worst case, I will just reach there, grab my phone, and connect to the internet as well. So right now, it actually tries to download NPM modules. So please disconnect from the internet. Yay! Now it's installing, great. Awesome internet. This might take a while. They knew. So, we have our project scaffolded. It's nothing fancy, it's just a simple Vue CLI project, basic one. Let's run this task, and this one equals just to yarn serve or npm run serve. We just running our project. Not a plugin, just a project. Okay, build-in time. We have an application. Again, it's nothing fancy. It's just a Vue app. Like, UI is really cool if you want. You can go to Analyzer and see why it's so big. And yay, node modules. So right now, we will add this project here to the workspace and have a look at its structure, just in case I never ever used. Okay, where I created it, God. I will just create one more. Awesome, I created it inside a plugin. What a fail. I will go and delete it, sorry. Because we don't need it here. And you will need to wait some more time, because I will create this project again in the right folder. Sorry, it happens. And while it's creating, let's go to our plugin and have a look at what do we have here. You can see I added all the optional parts, but right now they are really empty. So it's a model export in except generator part. So as I told you, you can create a file generator.js, but one more valid option is actually to create a folder of generator and place an index.js right here. So we have an empty index.js, and we have this template part. And right now, we will need our project scaffolded, so it's here. And let me add it one more time to the workspace. Yeah. So if you never tried to create a project with Vue CLI, here is a structure. We have a source folder where you can see the main.js file, which is a main file for Vue project. Here we import all the dependencies, and we actually start a new Vue instance. And we have an app view, which is a root component. And it has a logo and all these links I've shown you. Let's have a look at our template folder. As you can see, we have an src again and app view, and it's kind of different. So what do we want to achieve with the first step of generator? We want to render this app view instead of the one we have in our project. And to do so, we have a method which has a very intuitive name. It's render. So we are rendering template folder. Let's have a look at app view, and probably you notice this small component. Do you know what is this? Exactly. It's icon from font awesome. But in fact, we need a dependency. We didn't install font awesome, and right now, if we render this app view, we won't have a font awesome icon. So let's add one more method here before we actually run our plugin, and it's extend package. So this object here represents the structure of your package.json. And everything you put here will be merged to package.json. If you put something to dependencies section or dev dependencies section, it will be also installed on plugin invocation. And actually, I want to add dependency. And it will be very long name. It's font awesome free. What's wrong? Oh, where? Nope, it's font awesome. I was actually thinking about this one. Yeah, we need it. Trust me, because I spent like half of an hour trying to memorize what actually font awesome dependency is. Like, real challenge, no copy-paste. So great, we have imaginary, we have font awesome installed, but one more step. Even if we install font awesome with an npm module, we still need to import font awesome CSS to our main file. Otherwise, we won't have styles for our icons. So one more little import, and it's inject imports. This method actually just will inject a string we provide to the file we provide. So it will search for import section and add one string at the end. And obviously, main file is main.js. So why do we need this entry file method? Because actually, you can run and you can create your Vue project with TypeScript. And if you do, your main project is main TS and you're fucked if you just put main.js here statically. So we need to add an import. Now I will do copy-paste. Cheating. And we need to import all CSS to our main file. Okay, boring stuff is ended. Let's try to add our plugin, and I hope it will work. So here is a plugins folder inside of the Vue CLI. Just a little note, you don't need graphical interface. It's not an exclusive way to deal with plugins or Vue CLI. You can do the same in the terminal. So if you're an old fag and you hate all these new toys like graphical interfaces, you can simply type in the terminal, and I will show you in the next step. But right now, let's try to add a plugin. So this list, as you can see here, are plugins already available in NPM. But we need a local one. We just click on the button, browse local plugin, and add in our Vue CLI plugin demo. Right now, it's installing it and invoking to our project. And you can see that this one is actually just a Git diff, because we initialized a Git repository. And we have one dependency added here. We have our CLI plugin as a dependency, it's obvious. And app view actually changed. We have these new styles, we have this new markup, and we have new import here. And if we go to our project, it's running since previous one, so I need just to serve it one more time. So open up, and yay, we have this hello friends, and we have this. It's not that fancy, it's just a font awesome stuff. But we have this icon, which means I was correct with font awesome dependency, which is great. Next step is interesting. So we just changed our app view here. It can be considered as a really destructive action. Imagine you have not a scaffolded project, not a fresh one, but actually a big project running, and then someone just goes and deletes the whole root component of your project. It's really destructive. You shouldn't do it this way. Let's actually ask user, does he or she wants to change the main component? And to do so, we have prompts. Prompts are created to ask questions to user, save answers, and pass them to generator, so we can perform or not perform any actions in generator, depending on user choice. And all prompts are handled by a library. There is a link, and I will share slides. It's Inquirer.js. It allows you to show all your questions to user, like objects. Simple object with predefined fields. When we actually install our plugin, prompts will go first. So before generator will do anything to your project, it will ask questions. Demo time. Let's go back to our application. Let's open terminal. And let's also stop our UI from running. Like no UI, sorry. This time I will go old school. So let's also discard all changes we've done, because we want to change our plugin. So let's go back, and let's add some prompts. All prompts you want to have should be placed in the prompts.js file. And right now, again, it's model exports, but it's not a function, it's just an array. So first thing we want to ask user is, do you want to modify your app view? If no, we just won't make a rendering step. So we need to name our prompt somehow, because by this name it will be passed to generator. Let's name it modify app. Sorry, oh my god. All prompts have types. The most useful ones are confirm. It's actually, the question is like yes, no. and input, where a user can provide some text information. But we also have like a list with few options to select, like you've seen in the Vue CLI. Right now, I just need to confirm, so I'm asking like, do you want to modify app? Yes, no. So type is confirm. We need to show some message to user. So it's like modify app view. And I want also to set a default property. So default will be false. So user should actually make a choice. It can just accidentally add this plugin and delete everything in app view. So default, false. And while we are here, let's also have one more prompt. Let's ask user about his or her name and place this name somewhere in the template. Why it's useful? I authored the Vue CLI plugin for Firebase, and it's actually very nice to ask user about Firebase ID. So you can immediately create an example component, providing the Firebase ID and display the collection from this Firebase store on the screen. So let's ask a question. Name will be username, and type here will be input, because we need some text. Message is like, please enter your name. Awesome, now we have two prompts available, and we're going to change our generator. We need to provide a second parameter here, and the options. It's options available from prompts. So if we have options modify app, we are going to render a template. And also, we will pass these options to the template. And use them in our app view file. So right here, instead of having just friends, we're going to provide username from the prompts. And it's done with the EJS syntax, which looks strangely familiar for those who used ASP.NET. So we have username, and if we have it, we will display it. Otherwise, we will just display word friends. OK. Now go back to the terminal. And this time, let's make it manually. So first, we need to install the plugin. So yarn, add. And we need to show the whole path, like users, me, demo, and Vue CLI, plugin, demo. Right now, it's trying to install the dependency specified path. And second step is actually invocation. It's what browse local plugin button is doing under the hood. It's doing view, invoke command. And I'm not sure you can see the bottom of my screen, but there is a question. Modify app view? Yes, no? Yes, we want to modify it. And my name is Natalia, thanks. Now it's trying to run this plugin, and we have some changes. And again, let's make it manually, yarn serve. Not so fancy with Vue UI, but... So right now, we have a username displayed in the template, and it allows you to personalize any files you create with the generator, which is awesome. Next step is a service, and this one is really tricky because it plays with Webpack config. So on this step, you can create a script to modify all the Webpack config you have and create new Vue CLI service commands. Why do you need commands? Why can't you just type everything in npm task? It's good if it's short, but if you have something really long with complex logic, it's just nicer to put it to Vue CLI service command and hide it from end user, in fact. And then just run it with npm script. Again, back to the project. Let's discard everything we have. Not here in framework days test, please. And let's add some service. Good thing is I'm not going to modify a webpack on stage because I would need another talk, another 30 minutes, and probably I would need to be a Sean Larkin. But I will show how it's actually working. It's really simple because it's Vue agnostic. It's just chain webpack command where you have a config as a parameter. This is actually an existing webpack config, and you can do everything you want with it just with a webpack simple commands like config resolve or module or whatever you want from the webpack. But not this time. I will just create a simple Vue CLI command and that's it. So we are going to create a new command in Vue CLI service. We will name it thanks. Like we already have hello, so thanks is logical. We won't have any parameters for now. And third parameter is a callback function where we need to specify what do we want to achieve with our command. Right now, I will just do console log thanks. And I need to make a little change to my generator as well, because I need an npm script for running this Vue CLI service command. So scripts, thanks, and it will be Vue CLI service thanks. Now let's go back to Vue UI. Okay, we are here. We don't have any plugins. Let's install it again. Let me just check if everything is saved. So we are going to browse for local plugin, and I think it's just easier than type every time or even just typing on arrows like I need to install it from somewhere in my local one. So let's go, and right here you can see prompts, the same one we had in text version in terminal, but they have nice interface. So my name is Natalia, but N is enough for now. So it's installing and invoking our plugin. Right now we have new command, and it's Vue CLI service thanks. So let's go to this tab, and you can see we have a new command specified. Let's try to run it. Thanks, cool, nothing fancy, but at least it's thankful. So let's, again, personalize it a bit. For every CLI service command, you can add a set of parameters and name them whatever you want. Let's provide a name parameter here. And who do you want to thanks? And we need to somehow pass the result of this parameter to our callback function. So we have an array of arguments here, and if we have actually args name, we will display console log with thanks name. Otherwise, we want just to display thanks. Let's go to UI, and right now we don't need to reinstall it. We just need to update our plugin. This little button is serving for this. So right now it's updated. Run task. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's a minus of Vue UI right now because you cannot specify your parameter here. So let's go back to terminal and run it manually. It's yarn, thanks, name, framework days. And here it's working, but not in the UI. what if you want to use UI? How to integrate it there? That's why we have UI integration. With UI integration, you can have a custom config screen, custom tasks, UI prompts, different widgets. And of course, displaying things is not that fun. But please have a look. This one is actually Vue CLI plugin Apollo. If you ever worked with a GraphQL, you know that Apollo is one of the clients. So Apollo client is a client for GraphQL. And this command is starting Apollo server. So with Vue CLI plugin, you can add Apollo server to your project, and you can run the GraphQL interface right from the Vue UI. So you can see all your schemas. As you can see, you can create really custom interfaces. So let's try to add our command to Vue UI. And for this, we have this UI part, and we want to describe this task. First, we need to say what command do we want to describe. That's why we have this match parameter, and we want to change thanks command. Let's add a description here. Say thanks to someone. Let's try it at this moment to see what's actually changing. So let's go to Plugins tab, update it, back to the UI. And right now you can see we have a description for the task. So we're not just simply running it, we actually know what do we want to run. If you want, you can also specify a link here. It's really customizable. Okay, let it be Google.com. Because Google has everything, including our plugins. So back to tasks, and you can see this one is actually a link to the Google. Very useful. Now, we need somehow to integrate our CLI parameter name to the UI part. And you can see there is a parameters one, but no configuration. How to configure it. And it's easy because it's prompts again. So we need the same prompt syntax we already used. And we actually need just a single prompt with a name. Let it be name, intuitive, with a type input, because we need actually to put a name here. And let's add some description. And the description will be like, who do you want to thank again? So now we have a result from prompts, and we are going to pass it to our service with an onBeforeRun command, which will take answers, its answers from prompts, and args, its arguments of our service command. And if we have answers name, then args, we need to push this parameter to the service. So we are pushing name with from answers name. Looks tricky. Let's try to make it like no configuration. Thanks. Updating our plugin. Go back here. And now we have an input parameter. Okay, framework days, nice. Thanks, framework days, and it's actually what I wanted to say. Thank you for attending this talk and for listening about Vue CLI plugins. It was really short, so here is a plugin development guide. It's an official guide for development plugins in Vue CLI. You should go to plugin dev section, and I authored it, so it's a totally shameless plug, but it's more detailed than my talk. And if you want to play with this project, here is a demo repository. If you were not in time to take a pic, no worries. I will share my slides with fwdays hashtag on Twitter. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, questions? Some questions?
Yay, no questions. Lunch ahead. What questions that people want to eat?
Okay, thank you for your speech. I have a question. How much various configurations of your CLI are you using in your life?
Oh.
Or you just have one simple configuration that's suitable?
Nope, not a one single configuration, definitely.
Yeah, so could you please explain?
Can you just repeat the question, because I think I mistook it?
Okay.
You can speak in Russian, it's fine.
Хорошо, как много разных конфигураций вы используете в повседневной жизни? Ну, то есть, например, один конфиг будет с какими-то стандартными модулями вроде Vue роутера, Vue X и так далее, и что вы используете помимо этого?
Разделим сразу понятие. Используем для работы, используем для пэт-проектов, потому что это тоже разные вещи, да?
Окей, ну для подпроектов.
Хорошо, для пэт-проектов я использую как стандартную сборку. В основном я включаю TypeScript. Я сразу скажу, потому что я большой любитель TypeScript. Вот. Кроме того, в стандартную сборку для своих пэт-проектов я обычно включаю еще и показанные поло и исключаю Vue X, потому что для state management в этом случае я использую polo link state. Вот, то есть такая немножко кастомная сборка, которую я сделала под себя, плюс стандартная бабель плюс ESLint для каких-либо экспериментов. То есть если нам нужно что-то быстренько собрать на прототипе, иногда я даже исключаю ESLint, потому что есть prettier.
А что касаемо тестов?
Обычно Jest. И для end-to-end сейчас я использую Cypress в основном.
Окей, спасибо большое.
Не за что.